All right. Hey, and good morning, everybody, or good day, everybody. This is Sherman Ray, and this is the Livin in Vegas podcast where we talk about the people, the places, the events, gosh, and everything that shapes the city of Las Vegas. And we've got a special show for you today. We're actually streaming live on YouTube today. Normally, what we do is we tape the show, but today we're actually going to be we're going to have a live stream of the show. So it'll take just a second here to kind of iron out the kinks here because I haven't done this in a long, long time. So I'm going to make sure we're actually up and running and everything is running right now. So let's find out if we're actually up and running. Yep, looks like we're up and running. We've got a special guest that we're going to be bringing on the show today. And I think this person is going to bring, I don't know, bring some, you know, some, some familiarity, and I think going to bring some surprises to you in the show. Her name is Tamia Dow, and Tamia is a director. She's an actress. She's a writer. She's a film producer. She does all of that. I'm very excited that she's going to be on the show today, and we'll bring her on in just a second. And so I'm looking over. It looks like people are already watching the show this today. I want to welcome you all to the show. We'll be bringing Tamia on in just a minute as soon as she makes it over here to the to the studio here. So hopefully today was a day that you went out and well, today's Cinco de Mayo. So hopefully you're planning your Cinco de Mayo festivals here in Las Vegas. I know in Las Vegas we've got a ton of stuff going on here. I mean, there's Cinco de Mayo celebrations all over the place. So we're looking really forward to having those today, and hopefully we'll actually be able to get some people that will tell us some stories about the stuff that they've done as a part of the show. So I'm looking. So and it looks like we're trying to make sure Tamia is going to make it on. So I'm going to send her a note here real quick. And I'm going to make sure that I sent her what I thought I sent her. I'm pretty sure I did. Let's find out here in a second, because that might have been my mistake. And let's here make sure I sent her the right. Yep. Okay. Yep. So it should be here in just a second here, and hopefully we'll get her on. And this is this is what happens when you have live TV. Okay. There we go. And so hopefully she'll get that pretty quick here, and we'll have her on the show. But while we're waiting for Tamia, I want to remind everybody that if this is the first time checking us out, my name is Sherman Ray. I'm the publisher of Livin in Vegas magazine. Matter of fact, that magazine comes out every quarter, so every 3 months or so it actually comes out, and you can actually get a copy of that in your inbox at info, and all you have to do is send me an email to info@livininvegas.com. That's info@livin, Livin, no G, info@livininvegas.com. You can actually get a copy of that in your inbox. We also send out a newsletter every day, which is really fun. I mean, I love the newsletter because I talk so much. I podcast every day, and when we do the podcast, I rarely ever get through all the stuff that I'm supposed to talk about. Rarely. I mean, I can't remember a time when I've actually gotten through with any of my stuff. So we have a newsletter that we send out each and every day, and it, and people are just saying, Sean, I'm really digging the newsletter that you send out because it has everything that you could ever imagine about Las Vegas. And reminders, that kind of stuff, things that are going on in Las Vegas. As a matter of fact, yesterday we celebrated something that happened in the Valley that has not happened, that actually happened 34 years ago. Yeah, 34 years ago it happened. And so we were very glad that we were able to do that. And it was the PepCon explosion. and that happened 34 years ago. And so we were very excited about that we were able to bring that back to everybody and talk to everybody about it. Because if you were around in 1988, like I was, folks, you remember the PepCon blast. So we're going to be bringing on Tamia here in just a second. Looks like she's made it to the studio, which is great. So excited to see her here. And so before I bring her on, though, I want to tell you a little bit about her and maybe give her a little intro, and then she'll be able to tell you a little bit more about her. So Tamia Dow, or some people call her Chaplain Dow, is a writer. She's a director. She's an actress, screenwriter, and she's got a short video that movie that she's actually got out. I saw her recently at an event and asked her, I said, Tamia, can you come on to the show? I'd really like to talk about what you've been doing, because I've been following her a lot. I mean, a lot about because she's doing so many films, and I never knew her as a film producer. So I'm very excited that she's actually that she's going to be able to do that for us. So we're going to bring her on and to the show. And so, folks, I want to introduce to you Tamia Dow. Tamia, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hello, Sherman. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, you look great.
Awesome. Thank you.
You are a busy lady. Thank you so much for taking time out.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah. So Tamia, I was giving our friends here just a little bit of a rundown of who you are. But for those folks who just don't know who you are, they don't know you from anybody off the street. Let's take a trip back a little bit and tell everybody who you are.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Tamia Dow, and I've been a resident of Las Vegas, Nevada since 1980. So this is pretty much home for me. Mm-hmm. I went to high school here. I went to college at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I was in ROTC, so I did my military service with the U.S. Army. And then I went on from there to work for 23 years with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department as a police officer and detective. I retired from Metro as a domestic violence detective. So I specialized in domestic violence, having to deal with child issues, trauma, things within a domestic violence relationship, and also with victims of sex trafficking, which were misidentified as victims of domestic violence. So I had a very, very diverse career while I was there, working many different details. And as I mentioned, I ended up working with domestic violence victims in the last 8 years of my career. So I have officially been retired for 10 years.
10 years already? Oh my God.
Yes, I retired in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really blessed today. It's very unique today, Sherman. What today's the National Day of Prayer.
National Day of Prayer. That's right. Yeah.
Yes. So as a chaplain, which is another one of the hats I wear, I'm an ordained minister with Chaplaincy Nevada. Mm-hmm. And today we did the statewide National Day of Prayer this morning. And we did it in the very building that I served in as a police officer. So it was very surreal. Yes, it was very surreal to literally be in the room that I retired in. So it was a big, huge retirement celebration. And we did the prayer today in that exact same room. So it was really a nice full circle moment.
I was going to say that. It kind of did a full circle there. That's very, very exciting.
Yes.
So you served here in Las Vegas. You're really homegrown Las Vegas,
yes.
Which is fantastic. But you've got some exciting things that you've been doing. I want to get into as we get into a discussion here. I want to talk a lot more about how you got into filmmaking, because there's a big jump from being a police officer to going into film, and that's just part of your portfolio. Because I've been looking at you. That's just part of who you are. So I guess so, folks. So Tamia is not only a servant, a servant leader who's done chaplaincy and is part of the chaplaincy. But Tamia, you've been a speaker for a while. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, you doing the speaking circuit now, or you're what are you doing there?
Yes. So during the time that I was in law enforcement on the police department, I also was a trainer, a certified international trainer.
Okay.
So I had the opportunity and the blessing to be able to go to many places and to speak about domestic violence and human trafficking. I've been to Curacao, I've been to Bangladesh, I've been to London. I literally spoke while in service and also post service while in retirement around the world on issues such as that, and also leadership, because I was certified Dale Carnegie instructor and also a John Maxwell equipped trainer. So I have a lot of
Well, let me stop you
leadership.
on the whole John Maxwell thing. Now, was that part of ICLV and international?
Yes,
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 I remember that. Sure.
yes, certified through Pastor Paul for to
Yes.
work with John Maxwell equipped. Yes.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Tamia and I actually went to church together, and so it's funny. I saw you, of course, in church a lot, and but we all had different ministries. We were all kind of doing the same, but we were all working at church at the same time. So
And for his glory. So we were
for
all on
his
the same mission, just different mission legs.
That's true. That's true. So you found yourself doing traveling all over, doing leadership stuff, and using some of the skills that you had or that you developed in church and in law enforcement to
Correct.
speak in the lives of people all over the world. Huh?
Yes, yes, correct. It was a huge blessing. So when I retired, I actually asked the Lord. So the years of 2012 and 2013, I did a lot of traveling. I visited a
Mhm.
lot of my police colleagues all over the world. I was really blessed because they invited me to come, and I said, "People, you know what? I have a passport. Don't invite me to come and think I won't, because I will." So I went to Germany, I went to Russia, I went to Prague, I just went to so many different locations. I did two things when I was there. I usually spoke in the community, and I
Mhm.
also ministered. So I was really blessed, especially in Russia. That was a huge blessing. I actually went there, and you probably know the wedding I went to, actually, Sherman. Do you remember Don Foster from
Why,
our
sure,
church? Don
sure. Yeah,
Foster.
he's still out in Africa right now, right?
He's in Africa, correct. Yet
Yeah,
I
sure.
went to Russia for his wedding.
Oh, did you really? Oh,
Yes,
that's
yes.
a long way to go for a wedding. I'll tell you.
Yes, it was in 2013, and exactly
Mhm.
like you just said, it was a very, very interesting situation because I knew Don from church, and I knew he was ministering. Actually, he was working with Heidi Baker at the time, and he
Mhm.
he left our church and went out into the ministry field. And the
Yes.
whole time he was praying for a partner, praying for the Lord to give him a godly
Right.
partner. he
Oh.
he and I kept in touch via, thank God for Facebook. We kept in touch through Messenger. He would tell me, "Oh, I'm starting to get lonely. Would you start praying for a wife for me?" Because we
Mhm.
were at that level. We both went through
Yeah.
Bible school together. So I
Yes.
said, "Yeah, of course. Let me pray. Let me pray." And then all of a sudden, he started contacting me about this woman.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he said he didn't know. He wanted me to get some insight from the Lord. He presented me
Mm.
a little story about her, And then I said, let me talk to her.
Oh,
Okay. So
yes.
yeah, I said,
So
I
she
said,
had
let
to pass the test here. You never know.
exactly. And you know what? You've been married so long, Sherman, you don't
I have.
understand this. But for
Mhm.
we who are still single, like I'm still single,
Mhm.
and I've even tripped up myself thinking I know better. Okay.
Oh, sure.
But the
Sure.
thing is, God puts people in your path,
Mm.
spiritual people to walk by your side for a reason. Okay. And so
Sure.
he reached out to me, trust me, and the Holy Spirit within me to be able to help him understand if this was the woman for him. Fast forward the story. I
Mhm.
spoke to her. She had no idea the purpose for which I was speaking to her.
It was a sneak attack. It was kind of
Well,
a sneaky
she
thing.
she just
That's
yeah,
good.
she just thought it was one of Don's friends that wanted to know who she was and that kind of thing. And I'm a
Oh,
traveler, so I'm a
sure.
traveler, and she was in Russia.
Mhm.
So her English was beautiful. We had a nice conversation. We
Mhm.
hit it off right away. And
Yes.
my heart just jumped when I listened to her and her compassion for children, her
Mhm.
compassion for the mission field.
Mhm.
And I knew that he really wanted someone who truly had a heart for missions because,
Yes.
as you know, Don
Mhm.
is in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see a story. Now, for those of you who are just joining us right now, we're speaking with Tamia Dow, or Chaplain Dow. And in addition to being a filmmaker, director, she is a woman of God, and she's telling us about a mutual friend of ours, who she was used in his life to usher in his new wife. This is an awesome story. So continue, Tamia. This is a fascinating story, though. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
so she's absolutely beautiful woman. Her name is Evgenia, but we call her
Well,
Zhenya.
okay.
Yeah, Evgenia is her given name, but we call her Zhenya.
Okay.
And so she's chatting with me on Messenger, and she's getting to know me. And she says, Tamia, if you ever want to, you can come to Russia. On a missions trip you can come to. And she told me where she served at.
Mhm.
She says, we have missionaries that come from all over the world to come
Yeah.
here. So you're welcome. Right. So the
Mhm.
minute she said that, I was like, I like this girl.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's a keeper, Don. Yes. She's
She's
a
a
keeper.
keeper, Don.
Oh,
Yes.
that is awesome. I'll tell you, you get used so much in life. And that's funny that that you go there just to be you're a friend to a friend. You're
Yes.
really being a friend. And Don Foster is still on the mission field right now. I think saw an update from him. I think he had a flat tire out in the middle of someplace, but he's doing a fantastic work. Um,
in the
this
middle of a war-torn African country, and he
Yes,
and his wife are staying the course.
really, and that's really, I think that really speaks to what was going on today. So today was, the National Day of Prayer, and there are people all over the world that are just, they're so caught up in doing so many other things, really things that do they really matter. But when God's people come together to speak and to pray over people who are really doing life altering work,
Yes,
um, that's important. I mean, that's
yes.
and so where did you guys meet at today? You guys were
We
when
were
you did
actually at
National Day
the
of Prayer.
yeah, we were actually at the police headquarters.
Okay.
So chaplaincy Nevada, and actually now we have quite a few chaplains that are they were lay leaders at the International Church of Las Vegas, but our
Hmm.
chaplains are from all over the city and Henderson, and we even
Hmm.
have some that have been sent out to other parts of the world, literally trained here, and then missions work or whatever took them from the home base of Nevada
Yeah.
out into Ohio and various other places. So we were today at we've been so blessed that Metro allows us to use their facility for the training for chaplaincy. They don't
Hmm.
charge us at all because they know it's a ministry, and we turn around and serve them.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we serve them. There's a program called Recap that I work with. I really enjoy working with. It's called Rebuilding Every City Around Peace. And it was
yeah.
started several years ago, and it's designed like if you've ever watched on TV at night, and it's not happening so much, but it used to before, like
Mhm.
when a criminal act, a violent act, something happened in the community that disrupted the peace of the community, whether it be
Mhm.
a tragic murder suicide, whether
Sure.
it be something so sad as the young boy who was found inside
Nice chest.
the ice chest,
Sure.
that
Sure.
there our folks, our ministers, our chaplains went out with police officers, and we do door-to-door knock. We do welfare checks,
Wow.
spiritual welfare checks, to
Sure.
see if anyone needs prayer or just a kind, calm word. And it's not really, if you think about it, it's a ministry to serve the hearts and the souls and the minds of our community.
Yeah.
There's no proselytizing.
Mhm.
It's
Sure.
just telling them we're there. Would you like
Yeah.
us to pray for you? Is there something? And people will have us pray for things like, my family needs another income. My husband got
Yeah.
laid off.
Mhm.
Or I'm not in really good health right now. Can you pray for my health? All this kind of stuff, and it literally comes to their door.
Yes. Isn't that awesome? So it's not, it's wonderful to hear about Vegas, and this show being Living in Vegas. It really kind of brings a message to people who come to Vegas. Vegas isn't just about gambling, folks. It really
Right,
isn't.
right,
Vegas is a very spiritual town, and it has good spirits too. Which is
right.
wonderful. So let's
Let me
talk.
tell you before you move on. Let me tell you
Yeah.
an honest thing that happened to me today, and it was a little uncomfortable for me, but because
Mm,
I'm an actress, all right.
yes.
So I got I received a script. Okay, so I was asked to do because I do commercial work and stuff like that, and it was a commercial for gambling.
Oh,
And
okay.
I read the script, I read the second script, and my stomach started to turn.
Yeah,
And I
sure.
just felt so ill at ease.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I mean, I know this is Living in Las Vegas. This is not necessarily a Christian program,
Mm-hmm.
but
Sure.
I look at this that I deal with so many people who are recovering from addictions, you
Sure.
know, and gambling is an addiction. And I could not see, I mean, I really had to pray about it. It took me some time to pray about it. And I said, could I comfortably portray a character that was gambling, knowing that when people
Mm-hmm.
see, especially people know me as Chaplain, you know,
Sure.
so they look at, well, Chaplin's, gambling in this commercial.
Uh-oh.
I told him, I said, I can't do it.
That would
I
be
just
tough.
can't.
Yeah. Well, and really, you know what? Even within our magazine, the show, all the stuff that we do, we have limits. I mean, we generally do not talk. We don't go on the strip because the strip they have their own thing. We really work with the people, the places, the events that are really off the strip, and there's so much more to Las Vegas, and that's what we want to introduce people to. And you're one of those people. You took some of the talents, some of the things you learned throughout the years and were able to do a marvelous thing. I'll tell you, folks, Tamia, let's turn the corner a little bit and talk about your media career, your acting career, your thespian career. How did you go from being a metro police officer to all of a sudden turn the corner, public speaker? Now you're going into media and you're doing film, and you'll be moving and you'll be going to France here in just a couple of days to
Yes.
do not one, not two, but I think it's probably your 16th or 18th film festival. Tell us a little bit. How did that happen?
Well, it's totally God. I have to
Yeah.
tell you that it's it's
Yeah.
it's totally God. And the thing is, as I was mentioning, when I retired from the police department, I retired just to let you go. I'm giving myself my age away, right? So I
Mhm.
retired at 45, and I told you
Mhm.
guys I've been retired 10 years. So I'm in
Yeah.
the double nickels right now.
All
Okay,
right. You're
50,
young. You're still
55, right?
young. These are your best years, I'll tell you. They are.
I believe that I
They
do.
really
Although
are.
this last 10 years has been filled, but I already know the Lord and many confirmations have let me know that the next years are going to be the best years. So I'm
Yeah.
already looking forward to that.
Mhm.
But yeah, so before I got on police, anything came to Vegas or anything, I actually my family came from Ohio. So my sister and I both acted in Kent State, which is in Ohio, in the plays. We acted in Bye Bye Birdie, Jesus Christ Superstar.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, there's another one I can't remember, but we were in 3 plays before we actually moved here to Vegas. And
Mhm.
I loved acting. And my sister actually went on to study acting in college. I
Okay.
went on to study criminal justice in college.
Yeah.
So I really felt the call of justice on my life. I always did from when I was a small child. I mean,
Mhm.
if you think about God really guided my path from when I was a small child. My
Mhm.
mother raised us all Catholic.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
it's very interesting that because, Catholic kids are usually pretty good kids, right? We have like the
Uh,
strong,
well, I was a Catholic kid too, so I don't know.
weren't you a good kid? Wait a second.
I was that was BC, so that was
You're so funny. Well,
but
it
yeah.
was BC for me too, but I was still pretty much a good little Catholic girl till college. College, college was what is it? The one the Amish call it the Rumspringer time.
Is that what it is? Yes. There you
Yeah,
go.
that's the time where they just go wild.
They do.
you
They
know.
really do. Sure.
So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, my college days were very interesting.
Yeah.
I tell the joke that because you notice when I'm telling you I'm young, if you calculate my days, you realize when I was transferred from school to school, because my dad was a corporate salesperson.
Okay.
So when you go to a school, you test into the school. Like, so let's say if you were supposed to be in fifth grade, but your reading levels and your this and your that tested you for sixth grade, they moved you ahead to sixth grade. So I, during the course of my time in the travels, ended up being put ahead a grade. So that meant that when I graduated from high school, I was 16. So then I went on to college. And when I graduated from college, I literally did not turn, I think I turned 17 right after high school graduation. And then I turned 21 3 days before I graduated from college. And what I will let you know is I didn't miss a party. So I think you kind of know what that means. Sure. Yeah. I didn't technically become legal.
Really, just tell us the whole story.
Hey, the statute of limitations has run out on it.
The statute of limitations. That's funny. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I had people really shocked on my birthday, having my birthday party 3 days before graduation. And I went into the same bars that I was going into prior to that. And they said, "Oh, we're celebrating birthday." "Oh, how old are you?" I said 21.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
They were all like wiping their foreheads,
Sure. That's awesome. So you did act act before you got into the. So it was already something that was ingrained in you.
Yes,
or something that comes.
Yes, the spark for writing, and also, the spark for acting, but also the spark for writing. Because when I was 9 years old, I used to write little short stories, and the short stories were about a little detective, a female detective. Now, I don't know if I was inspired by Nancy Drew or some other female, female detective. But I created my character. Her name was Double a Hub, which don't ask me what that means. That's what the spirit gave me was. The Lord was like, Double a Hub. I was like, okay. Everybody's like, how do you spell that?
Yeah.
But I wrote out her little stories, and she had her little missions. They were handwritten missions with little stick figures drawn along the way. And Double a Hub was my little mini detective, because I knew from childhood that I wanted to be a detective. So that's why I totally fulfilled it, criminal justice, I went in the military. I was in the military police, go on the police department, did all my on-street investigations, because you always start on the streets, because you have to learn how to be the police first before you learn how to be the investigator, So I went from the streets to becoming a detective. And then I looked for the niche that I really wanted to be in, which was to help vulnerable people. So domestic violence and, all of that were vulnerable people, whether it was men, women, or children that were being victimized by a stronger abuser, and that is, that's where I kind of hung my hat for my policing career.
Isn't that funny? Now, because your latest film that is out now has definitely overtones of domestic violence, domestic abuse. Is that kind of the vein on a lot of your work that you do?
Yeah. So when I look at that, my core values and what I feel that is for me to impact upon the word or impart upon the world, I need to be a person who educates, which is my goal, educate people, to equip, like John Maxwell equipped, right?
Sure.
And to empower people.
Yeah.
And I also have a strong portion of me that's about justice.
Yeah.
So when I see people being abused and, oppressed in their life by a stronger person, someone who has made themselves stronger in that person's life, I feel like I have to be the person. I feel like, what is her name? Captain Marvel?
Yes. She's my favorite.
Captain Marvel, I'm going to help you out here,
She is actually my favorite. Every time she comes on and I didn't even know she was doing a commercial until I saw her, and I went, why does she look so familiar? And she's one of my favorite.
Yes.
So that runs, because even Tyler Perry, he generally has a certain style that he does with his movies. Even if he's doing a comedy or he's doing a serious movie, they generally have that same kind of vein. Is that your signature, that there's generally that going to be that kind of something like that, or is that purposeful, or do you think that's just happening?
It's perfect. It's definitely purposeful.
Okay.
When I did my initial sets of films, they were designed, if for lack of a better word, and not as cheesy, but I think most of our listeners and viewers will remember the after school specials. Remember after school specials?
Of course. Sure, sure.
So I do it along that line because it's something where anyone can watch it, whether they're a teenager or an adult. They get it, they get the message, they see, and it's current, it's very current. So my first one spoke specifically about domestic violence and sex trafficking. My second one spoke specifically about domestic violence, yet it's talked about thoughts of what people think about sometimes in domestic violence situations, and then it gave a good solution. Because like I said, I like to always equip people, educate people, and empower people to take the next step. So I prefer to do it through dramas per se than through documentaries. Though now the door for documentary has been opened up for me, and I'm happy to walk through it, because the first documentary we're doing is called Take Two, Their Second Act. And that documentary actually features myself. It features another, so we're all women directors. It features another female director who came from the hospitality industry in the hotel industry. And then another female who came from also hospitality. She came from the airlines. So she was a flight attendant. So you have, and we're all right now currently producing, writing, and directing and acting in films, right? So this is definitely our second act, where we have gone from our careers now into another career. And if you look at my career, I have been blessed pretty much all my life to be in, number one, non-traditional careers for women. They're usually male-dominated careers, because I went from being in the military, which still, for actually for everybody, it's by choice. But if you remember back in the day, men were drafted and women could volunteer to go. So now we are an official volunteer army, but you still have a smaller percentage of women that opt to go than you do for men. So you still have a wide core of male, military service members compared to female. I think it's maybe 35% female, and don't quote me on the numbers. But then you look at, I went to law enforcement, which law enforcement has about 20% women in it. And when I joined in 1989, it had less than 9% women in it.
Oh my goodness.
And when I joined our Metro Police Department, I was Black woman number 2. Like if you watch a movie and they put down, like cop number 1, cop white
cop number 2,
cop number 2, right?
Oh,
yes, it was very interesting. In fact, when I retired in February, I retired February 1st, 2012. So I got a commendation and a day named after me, both in the county and in the state, because of the fact that I was the second Black female on the police department. So I was a historical person. And it's so funny. It's like, and I look at it like this. I says, because you asked me why I've gone on to do the things that I've done, because I look at it like this. If I finish my career and they name 2 days after me, don't you think I should probably be still doing stuff?
Well, now that you think about it that way, sure, I guess so.
And that is the way I think about it. I look at, because when I retired, I started praying, and I was like, Lord, what will you have me do? Like I told you, the first few years, I just traveled. I just wanted to go see the things that I had the freedom to go see. Because in fact, what was funny about what caused me to put in my retirement papers was because I had asked my lieutenant, I said, I'm going to need these 2 or 3 weeks off, I think it was, to go to, I want to say it was Bangladesh. It was someplace I wanted to go to, but I needed a period of time to be off for it. And now I had the vacation time. It was just if they could spare me from the squad for those 3 weeks, right? And he told me no. So I called down the personnel and I said, where am I at on my 25 years? Because after 25 years, you retire and blah, blah. And they told me my date was like July, so it already had passed. Okay. So basically, I was on what they call, or actually, should I say, they were on borrowed time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because once you get your 25, I mean, you could decide to stay, which quite a few people have. Some of the folks from my academy are still there. They're working
Sure.
on 33 years, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But when I say some, we had a pretty good size academy. We had probably over 80 people. And when you talk about going on to the police department, we had at least 75 that stayed a period of time. And then the vast majority of us retired out. So we stayed our period of time. And there was only 3 right now that are still currently left. And all of them are serving in like really good positions as leaders within the department. So, you know, it makes sense that we would stay. But if you were out there, you know, working in the streets and dealing with all the stuff that our officers are dealing with, and you're hitting 30 years, you're thinking it's time to go.
It's time to go. I know. So that was one of the reasons why you said, okay, maybe now's a good time to go. I've got my 25 years in. Now is as good a time as any.
And I really wanted to travel and speak. I really wanted to have the freedom to travel and speak. So Bangladesh was a speaking engagement that I had an opportunity for, and I was being told that I couldn't go. So that was kind of like, you know, but if I'm retired, I can come and go and make them decisions on my own, you know.
And it sounds to me like the decision was already made, because it wasn't as though you retired, now you're looking for something to do. The offer was there already. Right. Now the thing that was stopping you was actually the job.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, you went on to do some awesome. So you've got 6 books that you now. Do you have more than 6 books out now, or where are you at now?
Yes. Yeah, I think my bio is so backed up. It's not even funny. Mm-hmm. But so what I have done is, so I have my own books. Yeah. And then I have a book on writing book. This is a book that teaches people how to write in celebration of you know, and it says fun activities to rediscover yourself, you know. So this is another this is one of my, I would call my signature book, because it helped people to write inside the other books. Okay. So inside the other books, I've been blessed with Chaplaincy Nevada to be in charge of their book ministry. So what I do is every year, except for during COVID, we didn't do a book during COVID, but we would get together once a year. In fact, coming up this month, in a couple of weeks, actually, I'm going to start the book writing class. And what I do is I have the students come in, we work on their story. Right? Because every single person has a story. But with my chaplains, a lot of people, it's just like you said, BC. Okay. Everybody's got a BC. Okay. So I
wish that was original with me. It's not original with me, of course. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm familiar with BC. No, I had heard it before. Yes. But so I have them examine their BC. And this is why part of it is that I want you to do your done list, your DONE list, right? What have you done? Okay. Yes. And I don't necessarily mean that it only has to be good, because a lot of times you got to look at your bad things that you did, your trips, your falls, your oops, to be able to help someone else with their trips and their falls and their oops. No one wants to look at somebody who appears to be perfect, because none of us are perfect. We only just recently celebrated the only perfect perfect person in the world, and he hung on a cross for us because he was perfect. Okay. Yes. So there's no perfect person in this world. And the life lessons that you have learned from your falls and your getting back up and your scrapes and your all of this have to be used as a testimony of the blessing that the Lord has brought you through.
Good stuff. I'll tell you. That's good stuff. That really is such good stuff.
So this is what you find in my books, like you were asking me about the number of books. So a lot of times what I do is I will be a compiler, which is what I have been for now, going on the 5th book for chaplaincy. I've been the coach, the teacher, and the compiler of a book called Faith Is, a book called Jesus Is, a book called Love Is, a book called Hope Is. And then the next book that's coming up that we're starting this month is called Forgiveness Is.
Oh, very nice.
And each one of the chaplains tells their story from their perspective. But what we do, and it's a really different writing class. It's not a writing class like some people believe. They'll go to a writing class and so they're like, well, I don't want to go to the writing class because I already know how to write. That's not what the class is about. The
Mm.
class is really a spiritual process.
Yeah.
Because what ends up happening is, we all know this, right? Especially if you love the Lord and the Lord leads in your life, that the enemy does not like that. So the enemy will do all that he can to trip you up along the way. All kind of things will happen during the course of the time while you're in this course. And I tell these people this, I said, listen, you are going to come up with every reason why not to.
Yes.
Oh, what if somebody recognizes? What if it hurts somebody's feelings? What if okay, you're telling your testimony, right? And once you put it out there, what they say, tell the truth and shame the devil.
Yes.
So once you put it out there, now what can he do?
Yeah.
So
It's done now. Sure.
What he continues to do is to just oppress. Don't do that. What if you're this person's side? What if you're that person's side? You don't want to tell anybody about how you did this? Yes, you do.
Yes,
because people have told a story. What is the current thing that's in our news right now about the abortion issue, right?
Sure. Big one.
There has been people who have been truthful enough to say, I did it. I'm embarrassed about it. It was, like you said, Sherman, it was BC.
Yes.
It was BC. I didn't know any better, right? When you know better, you do better, correct? But
Sure.
Instead, what we have in the enemy is the enemy will always remind us of our failures. He always wants to stand before God and tell God how horrible of a person we are because we did this, and this. But what he doesn't remember, and what a person that's empowered and knows the Lord and is strong in the word, they know that they're forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
You ask for that forgiveness, you become forbidden and get forgiven, and guess what? It's done. It is wiped away. Even when the enemy who's under your feet tries to bring it up again, we have our advocate that says, remember, child, remember.
Remember. That's right.
It's forgiven.
It's forgiven. I'll tell you. Folks, if you're just joining us right now, I'm Sherman Ray. This is the Live in Vegas podcast. And today we have director, producer, writer, actress, I forgot. And if you hadn't noticed, folks, woman of God.
Amen.
Chaplain Tamia Dow. And we're talking a little bit about her life and how she became who she is, because I think you see it all in her movies. And let's finish up by talking about what you've got your current project right now, because you're actually going to Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival, another festival that you're going to. Tell us a little bit about that, and what are you hoping? Are you debuting a movie? Are you continuing with the promotion of a movie, the current movie you have? What are you doing in Cannes?
Excellent. So I'll tell you. So number one, Cannes was a huge blessing. Mm-hmm. There was some underhanded things that happened in my life in the film industry last year. And and it's something that God knows about it. A few of my very close Christian friends know about it. But I made the choice not to do something that was recommended, but it was not recommended by godly counsel. It was recommended by more secular counsel. And I was told not to do what I was recommended to do by godly people. They were telling me to just trust that God will open doors, that God will provide if you just stay fast with what he's having you do. So what he's having me do was to write, make movies, things such as that. And what is so amazing about that is I just did, like they said, very patiently and prayed every day. And before I knew it, I could not contain the amount of opportunities and doors that the Lord has opened for me, to include you, Sherman. When I walked into that event yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever it was, and one person ran up to me and goes, "Oh, you have got to go over and talk to Sherman because he needs to hear your story and this and this and this." And when she said it, I was like, "Sherman, I know Sherman."
Sure. Oh, yeah, sure.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
But this is one of the doors, the opportunities that the Lord has opened up, that I've been featured on people's podcasts and, different shows and things such as that. And you know what? It's all for his glory. Yeah. It's all for his glory. Today, I prayed on the stage for media. For the last maybe 5 or 6 years that I prayed, as part of the chaplaincy on the National Day of Prayer. I prayed for law enforcement and public servants.
Okay.
Yet, where is my mountain? Remember when Lance Now?
Oh my gosh, the seven mountains.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
Sure.
My mountain right now is entertainment. That's my mountain. So as soon as my colleague, my chaplain colleague said, Tamia, you should pray for media. And I said, you know what? I accept that because it makes so much sense because I'm on my way to Cannes. I'm going to be in the midst of the people who create, who buy, who produce, and when you were saying, was I going to be promoting something specific, to let you know, I'm being invited as a producer, which is a huge honor. And a producer, what that word means for those of you who are listening, because you hear people who say, oh, such and such is a producer in Hollywood and blah, blah, blah is a producer here. What a producer means is that you put in the work. It means that you've put in the work. You've created projects. You've completed projects. You've followed through. You are a producer. So to get that producer badge, that producer invite to the Cannes Film Festival was totally God. God. When I was asked by a friend if I was even interested in it, I thought, of course.
Of course. Yes.
Of course.
Why not?
And the other part of the blessing, so I'll tell you a little bit more about Cannes, which I'm super excited about going to, but the other part of the blessing is, as I told you this, that I was kind of duped out of something last year that of course I pouted about and was mad about. And I was like, Lord, why, and he just told me to be still. He just told me to be still and that he would take care of it. And I, of course, trust him. So my mom and I are driving in the car today and I get a phone call from a film festival director, and he told me that they accepted my film for their film festival. So not only have I, been, and it's also another film in the Hollywood area. It's going to be in Marina Del Rey. So my film projects, Toxic Love, which is the one that he accepted there. I will be speaking about Toxic Love when it goes, when I go to Cannes. And I will also, like I said, it's going to be going to Spain. Toxic Love is what is called a proof of concept. And what a proof of concept is I've created the short story that gives the producers, the financiers, the taste of what the film is going to be about. And then they would see the script that goes along with it in that. And then the script is longer. So the script is anywhere from 90 to 120 minutes or more. Now movies are running 2 hours plus, right?
Yeah.
But mine is a drama. Mine is going to be a drama. And all my films always have some type of a faith overtone to it. Just like Tyler Perry, if you think about it, all of Tyler Perry's films always have some type of a spiritual aspect to it. Somebody from the church or this, or either Medea is, quoting scriptures, this kind of thing. And there might be jokes to it, but the lesson is heard. The word is heard, It is so ingrained in our culture, in the Black culture, specifically in the Hispanic culture, and a lot of the minority cultures. It is so ingrained in our lives every day that we will see something on TV and not even say, "Oh, that's a faith-based film." You wouldn't think that because it's just something that your grandma prays for you. I mean, it's like I can go anywhere in the world and say, "Let's say the Lord's Prayer," and do you know the vast majority of the people, whether they call themselves religious or not, they know the Lord's Prayer. The Our Father. Catholics will call it the Our Father.
Sure.
So I make sure that my film always, number one, is wholesome and uplifting. You never see one of my films where you'll see somebody scantily clad. I mean, unless it was designed like in my very first one, my girl was a working girl. My main character was a working girl. So, but she wasn't naked. She was scantily clad, but it was tastefully. Scantily clad, because it's part of the messaging, but I don't need to, just like I don't need to have vulgar words, curse words and stuff in my film. You can still get it, without me having to, whatever they call it when you throw out, all of the profanities and stuff like that. You get it just the same as if you say something that's, what do you call it? When I'm angry at you, you're a butthead or whatever, you get it, it's still words in anger, but I'm not, calling you things that I shouldn't be
That's
calling.
yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. I wish I knew some curse words because it's not part of my. Sometimes you think to yourself, that doesn't even make sense. How can you even put those two words together?
Right. I have heard some of those. And sometimes if I want to be funny, I will put two words that don't make any sense together.
You can't do that. Even if you tried, you couldn't do that. Yeah. But they do it anyways in some movies. But in your movies, that doesn't happen though.
No, you don't get you get it without, because here's the other thing. I remember when I used to stop have conversations with suspects and they'd be like and and then they throw out some cuss words and stuff like this, and I'm like, okay, you have not said a thing. I don't understand a word you just said. I said, all you have done is put together a whole sentence of, well, I'm saying, okay, you didn't say anything. You have not put any solid words in between.
Isn't that funny?
Yes.
So you were invited to Cannes.
Yes.
The film festival as a producer, which is just fantastic. When do you go? You're going pretty quick.
Yes, like 10 days. Yes.
10 days. My gosh. We'll have to invite you back on the show when you come back to give us a whole kind of a rundown of what happened and remind everybody so everybody can kind of follow you. I think people really want to. So we have a lot of stuff that goes on in Vegas. Everybody knows you have a lot of things going on in Vegas, but not a lot of people are really making an impact on the world like I consider you doing. And that I think that's important. I really do. And because I think a lot of people, they think Vegas is nothing more than the neon lights, showgirls, that kind of stuff. Who would have thought that in the midst of Las Vegas, in the desert, there would be a chaplain, former chaplain, current day speaker, producer, director who's going to Cannes Film Festival with a great message that's uplifting people.
Yes.
That's pretty powerful.
You're right. You're right. Who would think? I believe what I was telling you about the Lord opening doors, just telling me to be still and let him handle it. Number one, I already believe that there's doors being opened for me at the Cannes Film Festival.
I think so.
I also believe that, the scripture that talks about that he'll set a place for you at the table of your enemies. I'm not believing that. I don't even know if that means the past people who burned me, or if it's going to be new people. And the thing is, because I walk in favor with the Lord, I'll sit down. I'm kind to people who I even know personally that have, done dirty deeds, against me, said things against me, because I know he knows it all. Right. Yeah. And what he calls me to do is forgive. And what he calls me to do is to walk in kindness and in love. Right. Mm-hmm. So if I want someone to treat me with those open arms, because I've had times where I've found out from people that they perceive that I did something that hurt them. Okay. Sure. Now, bear in mind, these people that I'm referring to, they clearly know what they've done. They did it on purpose. Okay. but I'm talking about, for me, where maybe it was an oversight, or someone, if you remember the book, I just saw it when I walked in the door to come up here to get on here. You remember the book, The Bait of Satan?
Oh God. Yes. Sure.
You remember that? You remember that?
Sure. Okay. That's required reading. That's required reading before you go on missions trips. Yeah. Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Offense.
Yes.
Offense. You know what I mean? So I have had people, all upset with me and offended in this. And I'm like, I don't even know what happened. I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, you didn't this or you didn't that. And I'm like, wait, were you even there? I didn't even know.
I had no idea. Isn't that funny? I had no idea. Yeah. Boy, you've brought back such great memories for me and stuff that I think hopefully if this interview did this for me, hopefully it did the same thing for everybody else. Tamia, promise me you'll come back to the show. We've got to invite you back. You have an open invitation to come back to the show. Love to hear more about what's going on with you, your film career. Before you go, though, how can people get a hold of some of your stuff? Because you've got stuff out there right now. If they want to see some of your stuff, how could people see it?
Yes, excellent. I would love if you guys go to Vimeo. It's called Vimeo, Vimeo, and type in Tamia Dow, my name, Tamia Dow, you'll be able to see the trailer to most of my movies. You will actually also be able to see, we did, because I told you I was prior military. So my director of photography and we put together a clip, kind of like a highlight reel, some of our films, and it's called From Field. So like in the military, you go to the field. So from field to film. And you'll see that also under Vimeo, Tamia Dow. So I would encourage you to go there. Yeah. If you would like to contact me, feel free to contact me at Director Tamia Dow altogether. Director Tamia Dow at gmail.com. You can contact me there. And then Google yourself away. You'll find all kind of cool stuff for me on Google.
Oh, and she's not really, there's a lot of stuff on her. She really is. It's a very, very, I was so impressed. I really was going, oh my gosh, she's done so much, which is just fantastic. Tamia Dow.
Can I say something really quick, sir? Sure. I always like to say this to people. Sure. Okay. You say that I've done so much, and I say that God has blessed me with the ability to do so much. And I want people to Google the parable of the talent. Okay. Parable of the talents. Because I truly believe that my life is a perfect example of the parable of the talents. And that if we take that the Lord has given us and learn how to multiply it, we get to hear what we want to hear in the end, which is, well done, my good and faithful servants.
Yes, fantastic. Tamia Dow, thank you so much for being a part of Livin in Vegas podcast. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for having me on.
All right. Bye-bye. Folks, wasn't that fantastic? Got to see Tamia Dow. And once again, if you want to get a hold of her, just go on Vimeo and then Google some Vimeo and Tamia Dow, and you can see a lot of her videos, or contact her via email at directortamiadow@gmail.com. Okay, that's director, this all one word, directortamiadow@gmail.com. Well, thank you, folks. Thank you guys for all being a part of the show. We will see you again tomorrow for another Livin in Vegas podcast, where we'll talk about the people, the places, the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. It's been Sherman Ray. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.